Yeah. One way that people may recognize this showing up in their own churches is in a way that it's described that rather than God being sovereign over salvation, he instead looks down this corridor of time to see who then chooses to come to him. Why is this very problematic and potentially dangerous, Mike?
Yeah, the doctrine of election, which is what you've just moved into, is very, very, related, intricately related to the doctrine of atonement. I think actually taking atonement out from under the circumscription of election is what does us a lot of theological problems. Seeing that election circumscribes the atonement, right? Seeing the atonement as the outworking of the Father's eternal plan and choice and sending of the Son is key in understanding this. But if you're wrong on election, if you believe that the way that God does his choosing from before the foundation of the world is to make it conditioned upon the foreseen faith or unbelief of sinners, well, what that eventually does is it gives man reason to boast, right? If there's any basis, any ground, any condition upon which God makes his choice that's not himself but in us, then ultimately we have reason to say the reason that I'm saved and not my unbelieving neighbor is because I had the good sense to believe. Now,
Right.
God foresaw that I would believe, right? Yeah, for sure. But still, the basis of his choice is my believing. And unless my believing is rooted in God's own sovereign grace, right? Unless my faith itself is a gift of God's grace whereby he makes me to differ, then 1 Corinthians 4:7, who makes you to differ? You can't be asked the way that Paul intends it. He intends that answer to be, God makes me to differ. Nobody, I don't make me to differ, right? Well, and if you don't differ from anyone, why do you boast as if you've not been given things freely, but that is as if you've done them yourself? A denial of unconditional election, the idea that God chooses who will be saved based on nothing at all in themselves, foreseen, believed, or foreseen done, anything, but solely in his common grace. You get away from, or in his sovereign grace, solely in his special sovereign grace. You get away from that, you're going to locate some of the reason for salvation in man, and ultimately you're going to rob God of his glory to that degree, and you're going to arrogate it to yourself.
Yeah, so helpful, Mike. Thank you.